He's been waiting.
Mhm. Patiently, like a saint.
Very patiently, because I'm a moron and couldn't figure out how to stream to Twitch.
Technology's hard.
Yes. So who's our guest this week, Eric?
We have Jared Throne, who is the author of Heavy Kill. Are you also the illustrator as well, or just the author?
Yes, he's the illustrator. Yep.
Did it all.
Nice. You did it all. A man of multi-talents.
There's one name on the book.
Yes. Right. I always want to make sure I didn't know if there's like somewhere hidden like in the bottom right corner and be like edited by or something like that.
Yeah. Screw artists. They don't need credit. Right.
How do I pay my artists? In exposure.
It was somebody that I met on Fiverr. I didn't think he'd want credit.
Yeah.
My money was his credit.
That's right. Work for pay. That worked out great for comic creators back in the day.
Yeah. Nothing ever happened bad.
No.
Do you think you could run a successful graphic design business by getting clients and then hiring people off of Fiverr to do the work?
I think you could run a business that way. Yeah, that's.
And just pretending to be a graphic designer. I'm not saying that you do that in any way. It just sparked my creativity.
I only do that with my comics. I pretend to make them, and
I see. Okay.
So what you're saying right now, you're admitting right now, literally nothing was done by Jared Throne.
We have an exclusive.
I'm the mastermind. So that's. I don't know what else who else could be more important.
You sat in like the Captain Picard's chair of the spaceship and be like, you draw this, you write that.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually did nothing.
It's like a producer / director.
Your comic has frozen in my brow. Yeah. It's frozen on Maybe There's Still Hope somewhere. which is a hilarious panel to be frozen on. So Jared, how did you get started with this project? And is this your first graphic novel?
Yeah, this is my first full-length graphic novel.
Okay.
I got started on it. Well, I got started on it a long time ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. I was writing down ideas for this, just sort of the basic premise. I liked it, and I was kind of doing research on stuff or whatever, just reading a ton of Wikipedia pages. But I didn't think I was going to draw it. I was just trying to write something. And then once COVID hit, I started working a lot more on my art. And I was kind of running through a few stories, and I felt like this one just stuck out with me the most. And I wanted to learn how to make a graphic novel, and I wanted to, draw it and see how it went. So.
Cool.
Was there like any inspiration to the story? I guess because honestly, like when I first read this comic, I thought this was the the game like Werewolf or whatever, like where you have a group of people and they're voting on who the werewolf is.
I played something similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was where you were going with it, because it kind of like
kind of a murder mystery thing.
You kind of like a murder mystery thing, because there was a very much like people were dying and kind of like, oh, this is a werewolf, and then it kind of weird in a different direction in a good way. So not to spoil it, but.
No,
I just know like there was like inspiration, like that was like your starting off point, or you went somewhere else.
Well, this isn't going to be anything like what you just said, but I did get a lot of inspiration, as weird as it sounds, from like Zelda and RPGs and stuff. Like just going to those little tiny towns that are just self-sustaining, and it's just a few people and it's a small community. I just think it's a really interesting structure. So that was a big influence on this heading. Obviously, Zelda's not scary per se or anything, but and in terms of the other stuff, I like scary stuff. I like stuff that makes you think, and that's spooky. And so I thought it would be kind of interesting to mix those two. And I feel like the setting, at least from my perspective, is one of the more unique things about the book in this type of genre. So
yeah, I mean, it was all. And as you put it, one small town, so it definitely kind of had like a very much isolation, scary vibe to it.
Yeah, yep, definitely what I was going for.
How did you get started drawing comics?
So I love comic books, obviously, and I was reading Spider-Man as a kid. I had these old black and white reprints of the 60s comics. So that's what I used to read over and over again. And I used to draw, crummy little photocopied stuff when I was really young, drew a lot. And as I got older, I just got more into design and digital art and things like that. But I didn't really have enough confidence to be like, oh, I should draw comics. I had written stuff and gotten other people to draw it and worked with them on a few books. But like I said, COVID hit and I had extra time, and I bought an iPad and an Apple Pencil and started working some more and trying some different techniques and kind of utilizing the things that I'm good at in terms of design and knowing how computers work to kind of get to where I'm at. So once I started feeling like, oh, this doesn't look terrible, I kind of like some of this stuff, I started cranking a lot faster and more, working a lot harder, trying to get good at it and get a good grasp on how I wanted to make stuff. But I've always loved comics, and I always have loved making things, and I've off and on written comics for the last like 10 years or something, just in between work and that kind of thing.
And you've drawn them as well, or
I drew some. A lot of them I got other people to draw until the last couple of years. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
What made you decide to start drawing them yourself?
Money. No,
no, that's very true. No, we both have produced comics. It's expensive to hire Fiverr.
Yeah.
Or just in general, anyone.
Yeah, it is expensive. It's tough to find people that want to work long term on something big. But there was a couple of things. I'm just sort of a driven person. I play a lot of music, and I've done music all by myself and recorded by myself, and I've recorded with bands, and there's something just interesting about working on your own and being able to hold something and be like, I'm the only person that helped put this thing together. Obviously there's great stuff about collaborating as well, but yeah, I wanted to have more control of the creative process and more control over the pacing of the production, like being able to know when things were going to get done and how quickly they were going to get done. And just seeing other artists that influenced me that I, were drawing and writing their own stuff. And I just think it's it's an interesting, like more direct way to enter the medium.
Did you find it overwhelming at any point while you were working on a graphic novel, which is like, I don't know, it's how many pages? 250? Yeah. 6 or so?
250-ish. I mean, there's a few like chapter breaks and stuff.
Did you have the story self-contained? Like, did you know like where it was going from the beginning, or was that kind of like, did you have a starting off points and kind of let it go wherever it went, or did you kind of like have a starting off point and a finishing point in mind?
I outlined the whole thing in 2020. So I outlined all the beats of it. I didn't write scripts, but I did have all the chapters broken down. So I wrote scripts as I was drawing. And then my goal for 2021 was to draw the whole thing. So I drew a lot in 2021. And in terms of it being overwhelming, I don't know, it's interesting. There were days, because I was drawing 5 pages a week was the goal, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot. So there were times where I was excited because you would see things come together, and I had a few friends that I was like sending stuff to consistently. And but there were definitely days like, it's like June and you're like, man, I've drawn like 70 pages and I'm not halfway done. Like, what is my life right now? And it's it can definitely feel like a lot sometimes, but I'm stoked that I got it done. That was kind of the first initial goal, was just to be able to get it done and say like, I did this thing and I wrote this book. It feels like I don't know, an accomplishment,
Yeah. How many hours on a average page, like not an action, not a heavy detail, but like how many hours for one page?
It's usually between like 6 and 8, sometimes
Oh
a little
yeah.
less. Yeah. Yeah, I space things out too. Like I wouldn't do them all in one shot. I do lettering or tones or whatever at different times.
Oh,
So,
okay. Okay, cool.
yeah.
And this was like just based on quarantine. You're at home, you have to find something to do.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was the type of thing that I wanted to do, but like I said, once I started working on art and felt more confident about it, I was like, well, this is the time to do it. My job switched to work from home, so
Yep,
I didn't have
yep.
a commute anymore, or so yeah, I was like, if there was a time to do it, this is it. 'Cause I got the time and the space, so to speak.
That's so cool.
That's still cool.
It's like we had like a mini renaissance, I think. Like so many people started their projects that year,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
and like there's a lot more art and content out right now than I think there was.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, people that always wanted or felt that like they were always like need the oomph or the push to go do their own thing finally got the push when they realized now's a good time as any. Might as well get it done.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of a weird side effect of everything.
So where did you learn to draw? Like how did you get into drawing just in general?
Definitely copying comics when I was a kid.
Okay.
And then I kind of gave up on it a little bit because I felt like everybody else was getting a lot better than me. So I started
Okay.
focusing on other stuff. But then once I got more and more and more into graphic design and just loved it, illustration is sort of like this weird sibling of graphic design. Like there's a lot of really awesome designers that aren't very good illustrators, and there's a lot of really great illustrators who are great designers, but there's definitely some really rad overlap. So a lot of it was that, just trying to intermix those things and take inspiration from comics because I just love them as a hobby, and blend that into what I was doing with my day job. So
Did you have to learn like camera angles and stuff, or was that something that you just know kind of instinctually?
um
Or did it take some trial and error?
yeah, I think it takes some trial and error. I
Okay.
wouldn't say it's instinctual, but I do a lot of especially now, like when I read comics, particularly by artists that I really like, I try to pay attention to that stuff and
Okay.
see what they're doing and why are they using this angle at this scene, or why are they showing these details but not these details. So yeah, I mean, I Google stuff or whatever, but no, mostly it's me trying to take as many cues as I can from people who I think are really successful at it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you storyboard as well?
Um, kind of. I use a lot of 3D models to map out stuff. So that's how I do like my initial layouts.
3D models. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, what
do you like? Are
yeah,
we
what do
talking
you
like
mean?
Legos? Or are we talking like something?
Yeah, Lego. No,
Play-Doh then.
Play-Doh.
yeah, Play-Doh. I put it in the oven afterwards. It hardens. No, I use an Adobe program, and I'm not by any means like a 3D sculptor. I don't know if you guys ever follow those people on Instagram and stuff, but they're incredible.
Yeah.
But basically I would build some stuff in there, take some like free resources online. And so like the village, I have the village of Zero, like the main village in this book, I have it laid out in this 3D modeling program.
Oh, okay.
So I can like take different angles whenever I want.
Oh, cool.
And
That's
then use
neat.
that kind of draw on top of it or with it as a reference.
As like a photo reference, but it's all done
Yeah.
digitally. Wow, that's neat.
And so the layouts look terrible because they're like these awkward 3D collages with like colors that don't match or anything, but it gives me a sense of perspective and like
Yeah.
And I like the consistency of feeling like the village is her house never looks different. It's the actual house. You're not going to have more windows in a different scene or something like that.
Right. Wow, that's cool. Have you heard of anyone doing that before, Eric? That sounds
No, that's
Yeah.
like the first time doing it. That's also like the
Yeah.
most like I hate to like not tech savvy. That's definitely not the correct phrase, but most like it's like in depth because most people like when they do it, they do storyboards or a lot of times it's just kind of like they do like the over descriptive
Mhm.
and like just short page. So I mean it's a new way. It's like definitely like a cool way of doing it. Just not
Well,
heard it before.
it's a good way to cheat too. It helps me like draw. I can draw stuff and not have to worry about.
if it's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I can. So that's a big part of it. Helped me a lot. It definitely got this book done.
Well, I think that's incredibly awesome.
Yeah.
So did you do anything by hand or is it all on the computer?
It's drawn with just iPad, Apple Pencil, and Adobe
Okay.
programs.
Okay.
So
Um,
it's
Nice.
like by hand, but I don't.
You draw it, yeah, but
Yeah, I
it's
don't
on,
do
it's
anything
on
with.
the,
I don't have inks
yeah.
here or any original art pages or anything like that.
Okay.
you talked about saying you drew inspiration from people who are more successful or not or knew what they
Yeah.
were doing. Like, is there any like particular names that you wish say like these people in particular kind of like inspired me or?
Yeah, I love Jeff Lemire. I love his work and I love his art. Um, I've read a few like Tilly Walden books recently. She's really great. Uh, yeah, I mean, I've read a lot of like Brian Lee O'Malley's books and a lot of like first, second, or top shelf books, that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I remember buying Sweet Tooth as it came out from Jeff Lemire, and his I mean his art is sometimes like divisive with some people, but to me there was something like really accessible about it, and I mean that in like a good way, but just sort of like, oh, this isn't, I mean, I love superhero comics too, but some of that art is just so, I'm like, I will never be able to draw that impeccably, detailed and just anatomy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when you see some of these indie artists and you're like, I still really like this book, it made me
Right.
feel like I feel like I could do this. Like I could draw in a way that have my own style without feeling like I can't do it because I'll never be,
Yeah.
Steve McNiven or whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we like indie comics too, right, Eric?
Yeah, you get well. I mean, like you get like you get new creative storyline sets. I mean, I
That
love.
too.
I mean, I love DC. I love Marvel. I love all that great stuff. But like, you get some really cool, unique things too. And then, also like, it is like it's always impressive when you can have somebody like you say your art's not that good. Your art is actually really good, in my opinion.
Thank you.
But like, you are also able to draw consistent, which is something that like is hard to do. I mean, like, I don't have to be like, who's this character again? Why does this character look different from panel to panel or page to page or even chapter to chapter? Your character, I mean, looks consistent. I mean,
you without meeting us or knowing us, you sent us a graphic novel to read, and you're doing the show. you're on the podcast. But like this would have been, I think this could have been difficult if the art wasn't there. Yeah. But the art and the story are there. Why don't we talk a little bit about the comic now? Like the actual Heavy Kill. So it's a village in or do you want to introduce it? That's probably easiest.
Yeah. Why don't we ask the author, the guy who wrote and illustrated it, to describe his own story, or else.
Oh, I was talking to you, Eric.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah, that's no, okay. I'm kidding.
No, I like watching you guys try to get there. No, yeah, it's a horror story set in a really primitive village, no electricity or guns or anything. And it's a very small village in the forest. It's not necessarily like a specific time or place per se. Well, it's a specific village, obviously, but not like a certain country or anything. And basically people just start getting brutally killed in the middle of the night, and this girl who lives there ends up kind of being in the center of it and trying to figure out what's going on and how to protect people.
Nice. I couldn't have explained it better myself. Oh, you know what? We didn't even talk about what spoilers are and what spoilers are not. So I don't know how in depth you want to go talking about the story.
That's up to you guys. I mean, I feel like there's some foundational elements of the story that are a little spoilery, but I don't know how much you guys get there. Normally.
It's just the mystery. So this isn't a spoiler. In the first chapter, people die, and you even describe that way. The heart of the mystery is
there's a lot of dead people, isn't there?
There's a lot of dead people.
There's a lot of dead people. Yeah.
What's causing these people to become dead, and then how do they stop these people from becoming dead? It's like the kind of the. It's
a very 13th Warrior sort of vibe, right? Like something's killing us, and
something's killing us in the middle of the night. What's killing us? Okay, now that we know what's killing us, how do we stop them from killing us? Or how do we deal with this now that people are dead?
Yeah, people are becoming dead. Yeah, that's the basic idea. And I tried to write it in sort of 3 acts. So basically just sort of like, here's a normal village, here's where stuff goes wrong, and then here's where stuff goes really wrong.
Oh, that's great. That's a good. What was the inspiration, or how did this come out of your head?
You already talked about this briefly. You talked about Let's follow up with that.
I
do you live in a small town that has mysterious? Okay.
Were you trained by your father in the art of swordplay?
Right. No, not at all. Richmond is small compared to a lot of places, especially Chicago. But I've definitely been in small communities, so to speak, like worked in very small companies. Been in churches with like small groups of people where you're kind of seeing each other all the time and everybody's sort of reliant on each other. But a lot of this was just sort of thinking about like, I don't know, I like the idea of the primitive village because there's so much knowledge that they don't have about the world around them. And I think that makes things a lot scarier because they really don't know what's out there, what's going on. They don't have, communication with all these other people. It's just them. So I thought there was something really, I don't know, terrifying about that, being in that type of situation and not having a resource to go run to or talk to or to try to figure it out,
Yeah. That's cool.
No, because they very much are on their own. It's not really a spoiler. Like you don't introduce new characters. So it's not all of a sudden like halfway through the storyline, like there's no hero coming in. It's like these people are. That's the vibe I got from it. It was the thing. That's what it was. I was thinking this the entire time. That's what the vibe of the show was the thing.
I love the thing. I love that. The original movie, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I know it's fantastic. Like that's how I would describe it. It's the thing in comic book form, not to spoil it, but because that's not really a spoiler, but like there is something happening and they don't know what it is.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely take that.
Sorry, I was trying. That was on the tip of my tongue the entire time.
Yeah, no, so I think I've kind of got this perspective just for me. I'm not saying this is like universal, but I think the scariest stuff is when you're isolated, when you don't know what's happening, and when it's inevitable. And I think the thing is like that. They're stuck in this Arctic place. They don't know anything about what's going on. And yet there's a feeling of like, you're also not going to get away from it. I feel the same way about like the original Alien film. Like I've watched that a lot and thought about like, why is this so well done and so scary? So yeah, obviously this is not necessarily a science fiction book or anything, but I try to take a lot of cues from that type of tension and feeling in the story.
Yeah, it's well paced. It's really well done. Really impressive.
Thanks.
Very much so.
Yeah. Did you know each villager in your head, like that lived in this town, or?
Yeah, I tried to, as a general rule with anything creative, I try to over prepare. So I mapped
Okay.
out the village. I did make a list of people and like what their roles are in the village.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like a commune, like they're not, there's no money or anything really. But I also intentionally didn't want to give a list or something. I wanted to be able to pepper in random people and, have kind of background characters so you don't have a exact knowledge of who's in there. But yeah, I definitely had a plan for who does what. And then obviously the characters that are more focused on, I fleshed them out a little bit more and what they were doing and how I wanted them to develop throughout the book.
Okay. Cool. And notepads or like all on the computer, your notes? I'm trying to see if you did anything by hand.
So there is a previous guest we had named Psycho, who will fight you if you don't do everything by hand. He's very much a hand drawn. Okay. That's the way to go. That's what people want. So we always find it interesting to see different perspectives and whether or not
he won't like me.
Oh, okay.
We won't.
No. Eric loves talking about Psycho too.
He was a fun guy. And he's like, if you don't do it hand drawn, you are wrong. You're bad. You should.
He was completely normal. The whole interview, he's like, we're like, why is he like called Psycho? Like, who would call him that? Until we get to this, like, whether or not it's hand drawn or drawn on the computer. And then he went psycho. He just went psycho about it. Yeah. And we're like, oh, that's it.
That's where he got the name from.
That's funny. So originally I had a notebook that I was writing down things in by hand with a pen.
Nice.
He approved. And that was when, like I was saying, like 5-6 years ago, just sort of on my nightstand or whatever. But once I got into the nitty gritty, I just have a folder of like 1 billion Google Docs. And honestly, that type of thinking, I do have like mixed feelings on it. There's a tattoo art. Richmond has a lot of tattoo artists. And the one that I've been to the most, he does stuff by hand, and he's kind of like that. Like, I want to draw stuff by hand. I don't want to use an iPad. I don't want to do anything like that. And there's something really cool about art that's handcrafted. But for me, I sort of had to get over that feeling and just be like, 99% of the comics I read, I don't finish them and go, I wonder, how did he draw that? I want to know exactly what he did. It's the process is a beautiful part of creativity, but the end product is what's important to the people that are going to read it. So in that sense, part of me is, because I felt insecure about using digital stuff all the time, and that somebody would be like, well, you're cheating, or you're not doing it the right way or whatever. But then I was like, you know what? They are not even going to know. They're just going to read the book and like it. And if they want to find out, they can. I got no shame or anything, but I, if you want to make comics, you should make comics the way that you can, and make them look as good as you can. And if that's not the same process as somebody else, I don't think that's a problem,
Well, I found this to be a weird hybrid of like, I could tell this was hand drawn, but it didn't look anything like you used a pen ever, because like the line weights would be the same for some of it. But like one time I don't know if I was pulled out, but I did like maybe within the first couple chapters, I did like look at the panels and try and see if it was like a weird wobbly panel template. And I was like really trying to figure out how you drew the panels,
like the borders.
Because
did you figure it out?
They're not exact, no, but all I could maybe think is like you held a ruler to the screen and it came out wobbly. I don't know.
So I drew another book on the same grid, and I drew all of those panels, the borders, And then I basically imported them onto my computer. And so I have like a master file of a bunch of borders. So I would take random ones and paste it into here because I was trying to think through how can I make this look good, but also save myself as much time as possible so that I am motivated to keep going. So I really like hand drawn panel borders, but I don't know, it just adds a little bit of time and I didn't feel like that was necessary. So I basically have an Adobe Illustrator file on my computer that's got like 100 already drawn borders, and then I would just throw them in there.
I see. So some of them are duplicates then, sort of.
Yes, no, there definitely are, but
Okay.
but I did space them out so
Yeah.
people
Okay.
like you wouldn't figure it out. But now,
No, like I would not know. I would not know that you had that in there because, like, well, I mean, like, so I'm.
This is what our podcast is for, though. Breaking
Well, like-
this down.
yeah.
So, like, for example, I'm on page 69. I'm looking at this right now, and this is a
Mhm.
forest panel at night, and the background is in a forest, so like the trees are distinct. I mean, you may have Bob Rossed it in that like the trees are all done the same way, but they are different enough and unique enough that like I would not have realized you were using a generic format for any of these, like just based off
Sure.
of just stuff like this.
Yeah, I definitely I wanted it to feel that way. I mean, there's a few panels that are like copy and paste and you change the face or something like that, but most of it is all drawn individually because I just like that vibe, you know.
Are they? And then secondly, like the shading, how did you make the shading with the half?
The half tones
Halftone?
in there.
Yeah, the halftone dots. Is that what they're called?
Yeah. Or like zip tones is what some people use. But
Right.
so I would draw the ink, so to speak, you know, for all the panels, and then I would just draw like gray in there.
Gray,
And then
okay.
I created the patterns in Illustrator. So then when I put it on my computer to letter and all that kind of thing, this is all lettered on the computer.
Yeah.
I would swap that gray out for the halftones.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and that was another thing. I had drawn a few other books that I had like 3 or 4 variations. And so I wanted to draw something that was more straightforward. So this one just has like a daytime / lit scene and then a nighttime, and that's it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keeping it really simple and straightforward.
Which helps the story because the story is, well, I mean, it's not completely simple and straightforward, but it, you know,
Yeah,
they
there's
live
no
in a
time
simple
jumps or
town.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the minimalist feel of the artwork helps with the utopian society type of feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess. So is this book pro-capitalism? Is that kind of the theme of the
Yeah, that's
like,
exactly. No,
this
you
is
know
what
it.
happens to communists?
Wait,
that
how did you
Right.
even get that? Because I did not get that at all. Where
this
did
is
that
what
come from?
socialism brings you.
Well, no, I mean, I know it's a horror book. Things don't end up great.
This is about
so-
the Walmart coming to your town as a kid, right?
right. Yeah. No.
One by one, the villagers went to work at Walmart.
No,
and,
I just was convinced this is like so for the first half, I was just convinced this is a game of werewolf and like there's a werewolf in the village. I guarantee it. There's a werewolf, and like they show a wolf. They're like, I bet that's the werewolf, and then nope.
Yeah.
So no spoilers at all. But the
No,
first
that's actually not a spoiler
the
at
first
all.
scene of this book starts with these 2 kids and a shepherd.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. What was up with those kids? I think, can we talk about the first scene?
Sure.
Is it cool if we talk? We don't have to talk about the rest.
No.
What
we can
was
talk
up
about
with those
whatever.
kids? What were those kids on? Were they on drugs?
No, they were hooligans. They
They're
were
hoo-
bad
yeah,
guys. They were
exactly.
stealing. They were stealing the
Hooligans.
sheep from the shepherd.
Yeah. Teenagers are dumb. I don't know if you guys figured that out.
Yeah,
yet, but,
yeah.
I was dumb when I was a teenager. So yeah, they're just screwing around with this guy's.
What were they
stuff. I
doing
mean,
with the sheep though? He had his hands under the sheep.
No, I see
that
where you're
was
going.
actually-
I don't think that's what's happening.
Were they
Oh.
molesting that sheep?
They were milking it. They were thirsty.
Yeah, come on, man.
I thought they were milking, but
weird.
like
You never
sheep
done that?
don't have milk. Yeah, sheep don't.
Well, sheep
milk.
do have milk.
Do they milk?
but-
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
They're
right.
mammals.
Sheep milk. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I've never heard of sheep milk.
no, yeah, they're just messing around with them, probably stealing it and taking stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. I just want them to be. I just remember a lot of kids doing a lot of stupid stuff when I was younger, and me doing stupid stuff for no reason. So, it's just kind of a setup to make them look suspicious, in the beginning. So that once things sort of happen with that shepherd and you see what's going on, you're kind of like, it's kind of hard to figure out who's doing what, because it just looks bad across the board.
Yeah, that was great. Like a lot of the characters I was suspicious of in the first act. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess in my mind's eye, this kid stabbed the shepherd, but that didn't actually happen.
No, I mean he just like not a spoiler.
I thought he stabbed him at the beginning. Yeah.
He does pull out a knife to be like, I'm gonna stab you or whatever. So
right. But I thought it happened, and then
he's threatening him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the government does nothing.
Thanks.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a theme throughout it. Well, I liked so as you guys saw, like there's this group, the tribunal, that's basically like 3 old dudes who kind of make the big decisions for the village. And I don't know, I just like the idea of, and I feel like I've had these experiences of them. They don't really come across as, at least I didn't want them to come across as like bad guys. Like they're trying to do their best, but it's also just like really frustrating that they never really get to the point that they should be. I don't know. I've been in situations like that at work or in social stuff where it's like, I can see that you're trying to like play it fair, but like we gotta take a risk at some point,
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. There's a lot of, that's a good theme. It was it adds to the tension too, I think.
Yeah, that's cool.
So definitely a story maybe born from the quarantine.
Yeah.
A story of the time. Cool. Jared, Eric, you got anything else? I wanted to talk about those kids.
Okay.
You just want to see if I was insinuating.
How come you chose, or any particular, like, is the female lead like modeled after anybody, like your wife or anybody, or just no?
Yes and no. I have a lot of disproportionate amount of friends and family with mental health stuff, and so I wanted somebody I mean, if you grow up in a small village, you don't know anybody else. I could totally see somebody like this just being frustrated and sad all the time. Like there's nobody here, there's nothing to do. But I also think it frames her as a good sort of unexpected hero. Like maybe not to the reader, but to the other people in the village. Like this girl is not the person who's going to step up and like save the day or come in and help us. She doesn't even like being here really. So that was a lot of the influence on that, just trying to find a character that definitely had that strength inside of them, but didn't necessarily, probably was underrated by the people around her.
Yeah,
I know. Thank you. That was my question. I don't have anything else unless.
Well, let's talk about when it comes out.
Yeah, so it's coming out on March 16th. I'm doing pre-orders right now and throwing in some goodies for people who pre-order. And then it is going to be posted as like a webcomic after it's released. So I'll start posting pages every, like 2 pages a week or something. So people want to buy the book, they can read the whole thing, or if they just want to read along online for free. It'll take a while, but yeah, it'll be coming out that way too.
There's like a little preview on your website. It's heavykill.com.
Yep. Yeah, heavykill.com.
So that's where they can get it is if they want to order it, just go to the website heavykill.com.
Yeah, they can order it on there. Like I said, they've got some goodies if you pre-order. I'm also doing like a deluxe edition, and I'm only making that available at pre-order, so it won't be for sale anymore after the book comes out. And it's just got like a a different kind of textless cover, and it's got some concept art and some guest art in the back and that kind of thing.
Cool. Yeah, it's a really cool story.
Thanks. I'm glad you guys liked it.
It was a really good story. Again, it did not go the way I was expecting it, but it definitely did not it definitely was not in a bad way though either.
Geez, $25 is not too much money either.
No, not for this size.
For the deluxe edition.
Yeah, the deluxe is 25, the regular is 15. It's I want people to, if they're even remotely interested in it, to be like, oh, well, that's not a lot of money, I might as well buy it. Like, I'm not trying to make a ton of money off this thing. I just want people to read the book and enjoy it. So
yeah, that's cool. That's great.
Yeah. So
and you can follow Heavy Kill. It's Heavy Kill _comic.
Yep.
On Instagram. Was Heavy Kill comic taken, or was the underscore purposefully placed?
Well, Heavy Kill was taken.
Heavy Kill.
Annoying.
Heavy Kill is a dubstep producer. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
So that's what happened. That's what got taken by originally, because I was looking
undermined by dubstep again. Just kidding.
There's quite a bit of Heavy Kill. Like lots of people like that name. It's a good name. Hey, you
I snagged the URL, so there's that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so it's there. It's out there. It's somewhere. You guys will
Heavy Kill _comic.
Yeah, on Instagram.
On Instagram.
Just posting some art and stuff like that on there. And then obviously once it's out, we'll be posting a lot more too.
Yeah, and updates once it comes out. That's great.
Yeah.
Have you got a print at home? Like you have the
I don't
preview?
have a print yet. No.
You don't have a preview? Oh, okay.
No. I wanted to wait and see how pre-orders went so I could have some more money to offset the cost.
Cool.
But so I'm ordering them soon, which is nerve-wracking, by the way. But
where are you ordering from?
I used a site called mixum.com.
Mixum, cool. Yeah, they do good work.
Yeah, I ordered some of the single issue stuff that I had done, and I liked how it turned out. So
cool.
Yeah. But this will be a hardcover, so it's a little bit different.
Right.
And
you do design, so you kind of know how to set up pages for a print.
Yeah, I do. I have done way too much of it. But yeah, it's definitely good to know, and it's very helpful, but sometimes it's frustrating, just because I see everything that, like, I literally get paid sometimes to look at a print proof and tell you what's wrong with it. So when this book comes, I will know, like, oh man, this is, but it's okay.
That's cool. That's funny. Yeah, because you never know if like it's gonna get sucked into the spine of the book,
Yeah, I mean, I've got pretty big margins
because it's a longer story. Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah,
it's a longer story, and we'll see. Hopefully I don't end up with like hundreds of books that I'm frustrated with the printing of, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm not too worried about it. I'm actually really excited to see them, and I don't know. My ideal experience with comics is reading a really nice hardcover. I love like the oversized collections of image books and omnibuses and stuff. So it'll be cool to see my book printed in your hand. So like that's how I want people to read it theoretically, just because that's how I enjoy comics. So I'm excited to see it and hold it.
There was a really funny Reddit post on comics r/comics, somebody was like, I like reading omnibuses, but I can't hold the book. Like I'm too weak to hold the book. Does anybody have an advice for like a table or like how to hold the book? And like there was all this like advice about like just getting single issues and everything. I just said, you gotta lift, bro. You gotta lift.
Put it on a pillow or a table or something. Yeah, it's funny. I follow that stuff too, and every now and then people are like, hey guys, I uploaded a YouTube tutorial on how to open a book, and they're like not being sarcastic at all.
I know.
these books are,
I don't
like,
understand.
gigantic. And I'm like, what hobbies am I into? This is weird. But
it's hard to be like in the same grouping as people like that, right? Like, oh, we like comics, we're in the same Venn diagram.
I mean, love the craft. I'm cool with that, I guess.
Yeah.
But takes all kinds.
Jared, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
This is
Thank you guys.
incredible achievement.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me and connecting with me and reading it too. Reading the book. That's really cool. So
thank you for letting us read it. Yeah, it was great.
Thank you so much.
And make sure you check it out, heavykill.com.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye.